Hi, I'm Carolyn.
And I'm Anna.
And we're two sisters who love handcrafting and figuring things out.
Hi. It's good to see everyone. It's been 3 weeks instead of 2 weeks for us, so it's great to be back in the filming zone again.
I know.
It is Sunday, October 27th, 2024, and we're coming to you from Northern California. Mm-hmm. We've had these beautiful days where it's cool in the morning and the evening and warm during the
I know, it's
day.
starting to feel like fall. I know. Next week it's going to only be in like the low to mid 60s as a high, which we've been up in the 70s and 80s, even though we start at like low 50s.
We were laughing at school. I was like, I have to remember how to wear a sweatshirt.
And knitters were like, yeah, sweater weather is here, at least at the beginning of the day, and then you kind of peel it off by the time you get afternoon classes. Okay, so let's see, what do we got? We have a lot for you. Even though we had a big trip that we'll talk about in the middle of our 3 weeks, we've done a lot, Anna.
Well, I've done a little. You've done a lot.
I don't know. I think we've both done a lot. So we're going to talk about what I'm wearing. We have a lot of FFOs, everybody. I can't wait for us to share all those with you. We have whips. We're going to share plans. We have a little shared supplies.
Yeah, we actually have some shared supplies.
I know. And of course, we're going to end with our thumbs up, as always. So there's chapters. If you'd like to scroll back and forth, have at it.
So welcome.
Welcome,
so happy you're here. And thanks for comments. It's always fun to read them. And
agreed. Thanks for being here. You know what, sometimes just the comment, like sometimes I'll try to leave this kind of comment, but comment that feels really good is when someone says like, oh my gosh, it was a busy day. And then I sat down to stitch and you were on and it felt great. Like just that idea of like helping somebody just relax at the end of a day.
And I think the reason we can relate to that is because we have the same experience. I think that's one thing that FlossTube does for us.
I know. And after a busy day, for me, sitting down and I typically maybe will watch one FlossTube in the evening if I can. I feel like I'm just hanging out with that person. So I feel like I have a little friend there in the room with me. So that makes me, as a FlossTuber, that makes me feel good thinking that I maybe can do something that others have done for me. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. Okay.
It makes me think, as always, like, why don't I leave more comments? Because I watch FlossTube in short chunks while I'm sipping coffee in the morning and I'm in bed, and I don't like to bring my computer into the bedroom.
Yeah, so I know, I think it's probably different. Like, I watch FlossTube typically on my iPad or my laptop, so it's very easy for me when I'm done to like do a little thumbs up and leave a quick little comment. But I know for those that watch on TV, like it's not really, it's much harder to do.
But of course I could figure that out. But that habit is so deeply ingrained in me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it's like an extra step. Like if you watch it on TV and then I've got to go back and find that FlossTube. So I don't think that's necessary. I think you can send out that energy vibe like, oh, thank you, so-and-so.
I do believe in that. Like some people are so great at like sending notes in the mail and some people don't do that. And some people do this or that and it all works out.
It does. Okay, so let's see. What's really been big for us over the last 3 weeks is that we has a big family. Our niece got married, and it was at a family farm that's in Delaware on the marsh. And
that sounds so funny, but it's true.
It is true. It's out in the marsh, so we had beautiful weather, which also meant we had a few mosquitoes during the ceremony. But I don't know, Anna. It was so fantastic.
It was absolutely gorgeous and such a joyous event. I mean, anytime we're all together, even if we're not doing something fancy, there's always so much joy.
Yeah.
But then when you do something fancy and everyone's dressed up and you're celebrating this love between these two people and there's dancing and yeah.
It was incredible. And our sister Joan, you've all met Joan, it's her daughter. And that family did so much. It was a lot of DIY in an incredible, because it was out on a farm, they had to rent a tent, they had to get restrooms, they had to run water, they got catering, actually it came down from Philly. On and on. Our sister built this beautiful arbor where they were married under. A really close family friend did all the flowers. It was just incredible. Like even the details where her other daughter put together these little goodie bags for the 7 great granddaughters that were there, that were so incredible. The girls loved them so much. Mm-hmm. And somebody said during the wedding, during the thing at some point, I can't remember who it was, but they're like, this wedding made everybody feel included. It wasn't like, okay, we'll tolerate the kids being there. It was like, let's bring the kids in. Like they even had a babysitter. That ceremony was outside, so they had a little blanket set off to the side, and so that the little girls could pop over there and play a little bit and then come back to the ceremony. If
you want to go to the toy picnic, you can just go over. I thought that so many times. I can't remember, even if there is a spirit of we love children, it being designed so the children could be successful. I think about how we design environments so that people can have success a lot at school. And I felt that at that wedding.
Yeah, and I think it was designed not only for the kids to be successful, but for everybody. From, the 89-year-old to the 1-year-old. Like, I think everybody felt included and had a great time. Mm-hmm. So, okay, we could go on.
Yes,
we could go on forever. So we'll just put, maybe while we were talking, we might have been some of these photos. My husband is a beautiful photographer, and actually I've sent him, he can't be out here while we're filming, and he's back. He has all these photos. I'm like, you've got to cull them and put together an album for people.
Yes.
So he's in the process of doing that, but he has just some beautiful, that captures the moments, the landscape, and
sometimes he'll walk around and just sort of capture things while everyone else is he'll step away, and then he ends up with this beautiful result. But before we move on from the wedding, people are going to want to know why you did not wear your green sneakers in the end.
Okay. Oh, let's also we'll put in a photo. This is the 5 sisters, and in the middle is our very special cousin who growing up was kind of like our brother. Right, we don't get to see him that often, and so when we do, it's so special. And here's all the sisters giving him a bunch of love. Okay, so I'm getting ready, and one of our sister Lynn, who is like the ultimate organizer, she also, for the 4 sisters that were not the mother of the bride, she found us these great group houses for us all to rent. So the rest of the family, except for my parents were in a hotel nearby, we were all in these group houses, which was so fun. It was just about 15-20 minutes away from the farm, so that was great. So we're getting dressed in my group house, and I'm like, do I wear my black sandals? Do I wear my sneakers? What do I do? Which way? And one of my daughters-in-law was really, she said, wear your black sandals and then change into your sneakers at the reception. So I'm like, great, let's do that. Because some people I don't know, what should you do? And as soon as somebody has an opinion, I'm like, let's do it. Mm-hmm. So I had my bag with my green sneakers in it, but then the event just took over, and my shoes were the last thing I was thinking about.
So did you forget?
I had them there. In fact, they were even on the back of my chair at my table where I was sitting.
I didn't know that.
They were there. It was just like the last thing. I just never thought about it, because who really cares about your shoes once you're in an event?
I guess that tells you also your sandals are comfortable, because what I was wearing was not as comfortable as sneakers, so I did change.
Did you change? Yeah, my sandals were super comfortable. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, oh well. But I've been wearing them since I got home.
I was going to say you're going to return them or wear them. Yeah, because I like them a lot.
No, I haven't. In fact, I have them on today, right now. Okay.
I did not even notice.
And we'll talk a little bit more about the sweater when we get to what are we wearing. You didn't notice that I had my sneakers on?
Isn't that funny? I was concentrating on the top because your sweater looks absolutely adorable with your dress.
Okay. Was that graceful or what? Okay.
Yeah. Very graceful.
So thank you for listening to that. You can tell it was really incredible. Okay.
Nothing like eating blueberries with your granddaughters in the morning in a house all together.
I know.
And then driving to the family farm.
One more just quick little thing. The reception was in this beautiful tent, and I loved, they kind of introduced the attendants, and it was great. Our new nephew-in-law, he had both men and women as his attendants. And in fact, he had like a maid of honor for his best man. It was really great. Anyway, and then the couple comes in, and she is a professional dancer and beautiful dancer, and they did their first dance right away. And then we all sat down and we went to the buffet, but they kept playing music, and all the little granddaughters, I think, seeing her dance, they're like, oh yeah, we can dance too. So while people were getting food and beginning eating, they were out there dancing up a storm.
Which means tearing around the dance floor with light up glasses.
Yeah. Okay. We're done talking about that. All right. So we're going to do a little toast and a little show back and forth here.
Yeah.
Okay. So first we're going to toast. I know we do this so often, but Olivia B, you're just so incredible. We're just toasting you and your curated shop, and we want to show each other. We haven't seen what we've gotten in our last deliveries from you, which I think came in a few weeks ago. Okay, Olivia B, come on, keep doing what you're doing.
And Hillside Rookery.
Hillside Rookery.
And those unboxing videos.
Let's keep it going. Okay. So let's just do one at a time.
Okay.
First of all, here is Hillside Rookery. I think most of you are hip to this. She's on Etsy and on Instagram and on FlossTube. Okay.
My first one we already know about. This is just the second copy of this. Thank you. I'm waiting on Picnic Basket. I'll share some with you when it comes in, unless you've already stitched this.
I haven't stitched that. Okay, that's hilarious. Okay. My first one was Blue Moon by Artsy Housewife. I had such a hard time deciding which of her new releases I wanted to stitch next. And then this one, I'm just like, okay, I got to do this one.
Love it. I'm glad to have that in our collection.
I know. Okay,
all right, this one, A Murder of Crows by Lottie Da.
Oh.
I have long admired this. Olivia has stitched it. And
that's great.
Yeah.
Make one of those. Okay. My next one was Liz Matthews, October Quakers.
I was interested in that one too. Good.
Yeah. I'm probably not going to do Boo, but I'm definitely going to do that one. It's like 10:30 in the morning here, so our light is a little different what we've had. Okay.
You notice how every time Carolyn holds pattern up, I'm like, oh, good. I like that one too.
I know. It's so fun not knowing what. And we'll have to see if we have any duplicates too along the way.
This is Not Forgotten Farm, which I think is Not Forgotten Farm, I think is going to be related to one of my big goals next year. It's called Merry Harvest. I really, 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 really like fall stitching that is harvest. Let me see if I can. It's hard to see that one. Boy, do I like that.
Yeah. That's good. All right,
I just want to say one more thing. I like it when there's balance without exact symmetry.
Okay, my next is called Santa and the Wool Makers, and this was a collaboration between Kathy Barrick, hashtag Kathy Barrick Fan Club, and her daughter Liz Matthews.
And you've had great success finishing some bigger Christmas pieces, so I think you're going to do this and finish it.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm going to start this one on December 1st.
Okay.
Last year we started North Pole on December 1st, so this is going to be my December 1st start. That's my next big one to do.
I can't wait to see what the colors actually look like.
I know. They're I'm going to use the MPIs.
Of course.
So I'm going to first see what we have.
Floss pack, Olivia?
I know. I was wondering, Olivia, if you're going to do a floss pack. No pressure, seriously. Do you want to invite me over and I'll do the floss pack for you?
That's right. Okay. Anybody who lives in the Bay Area who needs someone to package things and do repetitive tasks, we are your
We are your girls.
We love that kind of thing.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Okay, another Not Forgotten Farm. This is called Family Tree. It's just a bunch of birds on a tree.
Oh, I love this one, Anna. Is that a new one, an old one? I'm not sure I've ever seen that before.
I think it's old. Copyright Not Forgotten Farm, but I don't see the date. While you hold up your next, I'll look. Tiny chart, so probably older.
Yeah.
What am I going to do when I retire and I can't make things larger on the school copier?
You know, I'm going to have to go to like FedEx.
I'm going to have to go to, yes.
You have to pay, we're going to have to
Oh my
pay
gosh.
for it. What?
I know. You should hear the things that I say in my head to justify, like, oh, sometimes I use materials from my house at school, so it's okay to make a copy, which I really do think it is.
I like often order stuff for the classroom just off my own Amazon account. So the school has made...
If you're a teacher, you know.
Yeah, you know. All right. the next three, I'm like not a huge Halloween person, but I got sucked in a little bit to some Halloween patterns.
All right.
Okay, so this first one is Barbara Anna's Designs, and it's Oh Halloween Tree, and I just loved all the little details that were in that.
See the similarities with their
them.
general
feel? Whoa.
That is
Interesting.
sweet. I like how all the little tiny things.
She has a thing about keys, and there must be some significance to that. I don't know what it is because there's a lot of keys hanging down. But even like her little owls, to me, were like super, super cute.
I don't remember seeing that chart.
I know, me neither. That's why I
like
thought. Okay, then I got 2 Prairie Schoolers. This is the first one called Boo to You, and I feel like I saw a floss tuber stitching some of these. They're kind of retro to me. And kind of cute and kind of like freaky at the same time. Like they'd freak me out a little bit if I woke up in the middle of the night and looked at one of them. And then this one's the same thing. This is called Heads Up. And I can see the people, this one's paper and this is cardstock. And these are just the same idea, but just more like smaller heads.
Yeah, they're cool, Carolyn.
Yeah.
I was just thinking like a week or so ago, I was like, when is one of us going to stitch a Prairie Schooler? And I think when I was stitching in the 80s, I think I had some Prairie Schoolers. I gave a bunch of cross stitch away.
I bet you did.
But I can't remember which ones.
Brenda, the sampler stitcher on Instagram, she had her husband redo a wall that was all her Prairie Schooler, like the ones that are kind of like elongated rectangles. It looks really good. So it was a recent Instagram post. Okay, so those are the 6 patterns I got. Were you surprised by the Halloween for me?
Yes, I am. Although I think we've had enough little surprises in our couple of years of stitching that I know that those kinds of things are going to happen.
Yeah. All right. So once again, Olivia, thank you for such a beautiful curated shop. Your unboxing videos get me every time.
Now, Carolyn, what are you wearing?
Okay, what am I wearing? Okay, this is the Lizzie cardigan out of the Cocoknits workshop book. And she designs beautiful tailored sweaters from the top down with set-in sleeves. So this is a sweater. I knit it with Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair. And I have plenty left. And this is the sweater I knit for the family wedding we went to. I had a sleeveless dress that had some green accent in it, and I needed a little something. And of course, 3 weeks before the wedding, every knitter says, oh, I'll knit a sweater for that. Got quickly to be like, oh, I'm not going to have time for this whole thing. So I cropped it. And here I'm going to insert a picture again, maybe one of me wearing it, something. I think it worked really well.
Very well. 10 out of 10.
So something funny happened. I love dancing at weddings. I love dancing. I love dancing at weddings. And I was constantly putting the sweater on because I might have been outside chit-chatting, and then I'd hear a song and I'd go rushing in, like grabbing Joan, let's go to the dance floor. And I'd take my sweater off and throw it onto the table where I was. So this went on multiple times. And at the end of the evening when I went to put it on, I had put it in a candle or where the candle had been dripping. Thank goodness it didn't like catch on fire. And I had all of this wax on my sleeve. And it's not going to come out. If you try to melt it again, it's mohair. So what does a knitter do? I just cut it off and reknit that sleeve. It was right here at the cup. If
you're not a knitter, that sounds like, woo!
I know, but it's such an easy thing to do, especially with mohair where the stitches want to stay together. You can just cut and you got those stitches ready to go. So
how'd you know how many rows to put on?
So once I cut this off, and you can see it's not even, I had to kind of like even it up to get my stitches. I just more or less counted how many rows this was, and then I just measured the sleeves. And with sleeves, I'm within a couple rows. But I could count how many rows I had cut off, and then I like added a few more for that. And it was great. So now my big question is, I have plenty of yarn. Do I keep this as a crop sweater?
Please tell her yes.
Or do I take this out and knit it longer? At first I thought, well, maybe I'll just keep it cropped and just keep it with that dress. So I always have something to wear with a sleeveless dress. But then I thought, hey, cropped even with like a dress or a tunic or something might be a good.
I think even with a tee.
With a tee.
Try it with a bunch of stuff before you lengthen it.
And then I'm like, are cropped sweaters, it kind of reminds me of a shrug before. And then I'm like, is it too baggy though up here? Like, does it look too boxy? You know what I mean? I almost wish it had come in a little bit.
I see what you mean.
So that's the only And then
although the good thing about that is if you're wearing it over lots of different things.
Yeah, it doesn't, like the other thing is it doesn't pull my dress in. Like it's just kind of like a layered top.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to spit out.
So right now I'm leaning toward keeping it cropped because I think it was such a good, went so well with that dress. And I really like that dress.
Yeah, that dress is timeless.
Okay. So that's what I'm wearing. And mohair is surprisingly cozy and hot, warm. Like I'm already getting a little warm in here. Do I have hair? Here, sticking on. Okay. Fully finished objects.
We got a few things.
We do have a few things. Here is my first one. I had ordered this frame actually last summer, and I got home from school on Friday. I'm like, I'm framing that. And this is my North Pole. And let me give you some.
I love it. I love it.
This was fun from the beginning to the end. The minute we saw this come out last fall, I think, Anna, you and I were like both on it. The pattern we got from Olivia B, Hillside Rookery, she had an MPI floss pack. We got that. That was perfect. It was so great. All right. So this was stitched on 36 count vintage maple sugar by Lakeside Linens with the call for MPI silks, again from Hillside Rookery. Stitched 1/2, and the count is 109 across by 212 high. This is one, I wet blocked it because it was the silks, and I love lacing after I've wet blocked because I don't feel like when I'm lacing it, I need to stretch it because it's already really flat. And I think I slightly have the tendency to lace too tightly to try to get things clean and neat. So I love this because
that looks very flat. Now, do you do your guideline
I always do
before you wet block?
I do, yeah. So what I do is I stitch in a guideline of where my mat board's going to be. So when it's for a frame, I add in that 1/4 inch lip on my guideline because you lose a 1/4 inch on every side. When
is it always a 1/4 inch or very close?
It's very often a 1/4 inch.
Okay.
For that. In fact, here I can show you this frame, which is the same frame, just smaller. And I'm talking about that 1/4 inch, and that lets the piece sit in the frame, but you lose that edging around it. So I do my guidelines, then I wet block it, and then I can use those guidelines when I'm lacing.
And did you do is that a 1/2 inch of fabric showing?
This is about a 1/2 inch. Now the interesting thing is, and when we talk about this, I'm not like complaining or dissing what I'm doing. I'm just always trying to learn from what I do. It's an even margin all the way around, but I almost wish for this part I had given a little less margin. So that part, which is so solid, because I feel like when you look at it, it reads like this is a bigger margin.
I agree.
But it's the same margin. So,
I thought about that on a pillow finish I made. And it's like, we should write it down to give ourselves the confidence to like really do that next time.
Yeah. And I think that just comes with experience, right? So it's just like every time you do something, learn a little something. And I feel then like when you do that with crafts, like you wake up 5 years later, and we're getting close to our 5 years of stitching. Yeah. I know we started in 2020. It'll be a year. We've been stitching 4 years. And you go, oh, I'm actually kind of good at this now. Like you've learned. Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch just put out a really great video where she walks through framing using a sort of DIY frame that she got off the internet.
Oh, cool. It was
great. I
love her as a teacher.
I do too.
She's a very clear explainer.
And it was almost like you can tell she put a lot of thought into it. But while she was talking, it was more reinforcement for me than learn. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I know about that. Oh yeah, I know about that. Oh, that's cool how you're doing that. So this frame, super, super happy. And the frame is it's called the Park Slope. I've used it before. It has indented a little bit, about 1 inch in, and it's from Signed and Numbered for that. Okay. So as soon as I finish this, that's where I'm like, okay, I've got my next Santa.
Now, looking around, do you know where Santa's going to go?
Well, one thing I like about the Park Slope is it can sit on its own. I'm going to put it against the fireplace.
That would have been my first choice.
And just sort of propped up against that when we get to that. Sorry, I can't stop showing it. I'm so happy with that. All right.
It's fantastic.
Then I actually, that day first started because I wanted to frame my turkey trot. This was my birthday start last year, and I like to have it fully finished. My birthday's toward the end of November. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and frame that so it's ready to go and I can have my new birthday start. And I started to lace it, and I made a measuring error. Yes, math teachers can also make measuring errors.
That's right.
So I was a 1/4 inch short on the mat board. And at first I'm like, did they cut my mat board?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. They cut it to exactly the specification I sent to them. So then I thought, well, maybe I can fudge and just have the side margins be less, but I'm going to put it in and you can see absolutely not. Well, absolutely not, because that beautiful side border gets cut off.
Yeah.
With that decorative. Okay, so I'm half laced. I'll take this off. So fail. So then what is any good cross stitchers? I opened up all of my finished projects and thought, is there something else that would more or less fit into this frame? Because I'm going to order another one.
Maybe something with not as
So
defined a border.
I want to get some feedback. So I have this Santa. I forget what this is called. Maybe like Jolly Old Soul. It's by Brenda Gervais with Thy Needling Thread. I finished it last year, I think.
Or 2 years ago, was it?
I think I would have fully finished it. I think I finished it about a year ago. So then I thought, it has about a 1/2 inch margin all the way around, which is maybe a little bigger than what I would have done for this. I'm just going to put it in just to get a feel. So do I want to put him in here? I'd have a little bit more of a margin, and a lot of my Christmas things are either finished as flats or as flat folds.
Let me get Santa.
And I thought, well, maybe this would be a good little companion, or I wouldn't maybe put them next to each other.
Different colors. Yeah.
Okay, so then my thought is, but you know, there's no black in here. Is black like a bad thing to put with Santa? But of all the things I have, I'm like, oh, actually it fits pretty nicely.
I like it quite a bit.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Anybody else feel strongly no? Please tell me. Okay, get a feel. And then I'm gonna order a new frame for this one. And I had used the same frame. I have Reverend Gordon Squash Bottom framed with this, and so that's why I want to use the same one for that, because they use the same color palette.
I do not feel like you need to have a black thread to use a black frame.
Okay.
I think black sets things off very well.
And this was Turkey Trot by Not Forgotten Farm.
And Carolyn did some variation of the color here, and it really
I used my own palette,
beautiful.
and I think I made a couple other changes. When I have it really framed, we'll talk a little bit more about that. Okay, so those were...
Okay.
All right, good. Well, I'm going to go ahead then and frame that Santa with that. I think that'll be good. All right, Anna, you're up next.
Oh, while we were on the wedding trip, I received a text from Sandy, the framer at the attic, that Scarlet Berries she had already sent it. So thankfully, I had a neighbor picking up our mail. So when I got home from that trip, this was waiting for me.
Oh, I'm glad you had somebody picking up stuff.
It probably would have been fine
otherwise,
but woo. So happy with it. There's museum glass on there. It is just framed nice and tightly in, which is what I like, that look with this black frame. There's actually a teeny bit of red in the frame. And this is a really meaningful piece. Initials of our matrilineal line, initials of our sisters, initial of my daughter-in-law, and
we do have a ring light just because it's so dark in here.
What if we moved it back a little bit? Okay.
Oh my gosh, look at, you do see a lot of reflection. You see mine.
Very happy with it. Right now I have it in the entryway of our house with my precious white pumpkin for the season.
Yeah, it's really spectacular.
I was saying to Carolyn before we started filming, it might be the most meaningful piece that I've stitched because of all the initials. And I will put a note on the back explaining with everyone's full names and dates and all that jazz. And so thank you, Sandy.
And
thank you, Attic Needlework.
You know, did you get the pattern at the attic, or you had it already?
I think I got it from Kitten Stitcher.
That's right. And then when you went to the attic, you were able to see the
model.
Yeah. And did you see did they have an original, or was the model you saw the model?
Because I can't even remember if this is a reproduction or not.
How quickly forget. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm really happy with it.
Congratulations.
Thank
You're right,
you.
and it has so much meaning to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny how just adding like initials for people all of a sudden like make those people come alive.
Mm-hmm. Let me just gaze at it a little bit. I also am always surprised at sort of how petite. I tend to leave a pretty big margin when I stitch, and when something is finished as a pillow or framed or whatever, I was like, oh, a little bit more petite than I thought, which I like.
Yeah. Growing up, our mom had this phrase was called an MCS, which stood for a mild conceit session. And like, for example, you'd finish your school report and you're like, yeah, textiles, rainfall, and you put it in your in that little folder and you'd be looking
the plastic folder where you slid the colorful little plastic piece
on. So my mom would be like, take your MCS. And she'd be like, okay, that's enough.
But I think it was such a good message. Now that we teach girls, it's such a good message. And as crafters too, like, it's okay if you really like something that you did, or you feel like, oh, that's really good.
I know we're looking at our FFO and we're both like North Pole or Scarlet. Like,
that looks good.
Taking my little MCS. Okay, that's enough.
Right.
All right, here's my next finish.
I might have more than one MCS with that one.
Oh, sure. I mean, just for that, in that moment in time. All right, so this is my autumn salt boxes. This is the first house I stitched of the two, and finished it, as always, as my Polaroid tile in the little frame. And I have a piece of wool. I just tacky glue just a little bit in the corners back. This one I've already, in fact, in WIPs, I'll show you, I've already started the second autumn salt box, and this one was sitting there because it has some over one in the barn quilt. That little barn quilt is over one.
You did it. You did
and
it.
I was procrastinating, and same thing Friday. I don't know what happened to my week this week at school. I came home from Friday and I like framed that, and I'm like, girl, sit down and do that over one right now. And I did. A couple things for me that I did for this over one is I used a hoop, which I typically don't, and I think that helps stabilize everything.
Yeah, several people have recommended that to us.
And then as far as the floss, it's hard to see on this, but there was one over one stitch in an L shape that was the same as the background of the barn. So then I said, okay, I'm going to use the floss, and I just did the 10 stitch with the top leg that I use, that direction. So for the top leg.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that.
Because you have two, so you want to do, I thought that way, so they would, looks like it's reading in the same way. So I don't think you can tell it's not a full cross. I don't think I could have done a full cross with it, because it's already, as Anna says, it's kind of nice. It's raised just a little bit from the over one.
From the other, yeah.
Yeah, from the other. So I'm feeling really proud of myself.
You've had such, I don't know, I want to say like success with these salt boxes. You've really gotten into them, and they're perfect for tile finishes. They look fantastic in your house.
Thank you. I love them too. And I'm also, I have the finishing down. I finished it, and then the next day I just FFO'd it. Like, I just want to get it done as soon as possible. I put a little batting in here, and then I've cut my wool just a little bit less so it doesn't overlap when I put it in there. It just sits in there. So that was the last one.
Great.
And details for that, is 36 count. Oh, something or other. That's what I wrote. And it was the called for. All right, here's the last FFO. And in our episode notes, I wrote as mystery FFO because I don't think Anna's going to believe that I did.
Let's just say she's texted me. You won't even believe.
You won't even believe. Okay, Anna.
Oh,
I stitched and finished 3 of these. I know. I took okay.
Yeah, I am surprised. My guess was you did something sort of sweet and dainty, because she said you won't believe. Oh, they're so tiny. Oh my God.
This is my first one.
Stop it.
This is the first one.
I love that so much.
And same thing, I did it as a tile finish, and there's a magnet in here. Okay, so part of the thinking for this is, I'm pointing over here, we have a fireplace, very mid-century modern, and we have this old metal grate on the front of it. And the girls like to we have magnets there. So in fact, they're always grabbing my like stitching magnets they put in there. So I'm like, I'm gonna put up some holiday magnets for them. So this is the first one, and I was stitching this when we were on our trip, and so my local granddaughter, who's pretty crafty, she was really interested in this. So it was fun when she came in the house and this was on the fireplace for her last week. She's like, oh, that's so cute. Okay, so that was the first one I did. Then the next one was I did the skeleton.
I love the yellow green in here.
Isn't it great? Here's my skeleton.
I think this is my favorite one of the cover.
And this is like no nonsense because it's full coverage for that. All of these are pretty full coverage. And then my last one was this really clowny jack-o'-lantern.
It's like a scarecrow / jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah. So I did these 3. Again, they all have magnets. I'm going to probably end up stitching all 8. I have enough linen. I'm going to put it away for next season. They were so fun to stitch and just that right size piece.
What I go put it on the fireplace.
Yeah, she's just going to see, and maybe I'll put a picture in here of what they look like on the fireplace.
Oh my gosh.
The magnets more at the top,
Yeah.
So they hang down. And then I'm like, oh, maybe I'll do some for every holiday, like have some Christmas ones. What I did is I just picked some, I think this is just Weigart flax, just a really simple linen. And I went through my Roxy Floss and picked a bunch of Halloween colors.
Great.
I think the pattern just called for a few colors, but I like, you know me now at this point, I liked having lots of different oranges. So like even in the cat, I used 2 different oranges.
Oh yeah.
Or the pumpkin, I used a couple different oranges. I also introduced a dark purple. I don't even know what what are these little orange things down here? Is that like
his shoulder? Is this like
it's like his orange pumpkin arms coming out or something?
I really think it's think of it as a scarecrow.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. And then I had picked this really sort of acidy green.
Well, that really makes it for me, the little bright pop.
Yeah. So whether I just keep, I don't know if for next year, I'll probably write down my colors and put this back in the stash just because I know I'm going to want to use these for other things. So
keep those oranges out because I have an orange question coming up later.
Okay. All right. Does this surprise you?
It does surprise me. But my prediction was totally wrong.
And same thing. These were so easy to finish. And I did lace them. No, did I lace them?
You just glue them.
No, I glued them.
Yeah.
I glued them. That's what I did.
Why not?
I just glued the linen. I folded it as I would lace a tile, but just glue, and then a magnet. Okay.
Adorable.
And they all stick together.
I can see how that is going to become a tradition for the little ones.
Yeah. And they were just and same thing. These are not precious. They were playing with them. They were moving them around.
Excuse me, I got a piece of mint in my mouth.
Yeah.
From my mint coffee.
Okay.
I've been looking at the Nordic Prairie Schooler Christmas.
Uh-huh.
I think that's what it's called. So I may copy you.
Okay, and are they little ones like that?
They might be bigger.
Yeah. So next one I'm going to do, I almost started it, the ghost. But then I'm like, I have 3.
34 by, I'm just looking at the stitch count.
Oh yeah, they are 34 high by 22 wide.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much full coverage, which I like because then they feel really dense and substantial.
Tapestry-like. Tiny tapestries.
Tiny tapestries. And that tile finish with the magnet, perfect. I might also look for a little metal board because it might be fun just to be able to put them on a metal board also. All right.
Or how about, do you have a tray or something already? That's
metal. A tray.
You need to go to IKEA.
We need to go to IKEA. Whew.
Nice, Carolyn.
Thank you. That was a lot of good FFOs. Awesome. Okay, let's do works in progress. So I'm going to start us off.
Shades of Pumpkin, which I had started during our last video. It is from Needle Treasures Nook. And I'm attracted to just the 3x3-ness of this design. I'm attracted to the colors. It's all DMC. I put my DMCs in bags. It's a little bit hard to show the colors, but here's what I have so far.
I love the color of this one.
Yeah.
Down there. It's really
Some of these are ghosting a little more than I thought they would on this fabric. And this, I have confirmed, this is 36 count Walnut Grove by Needle and Flax.
Yeah.
So it's leftover from something that you did. From
the Brooke
beads.
I made for Brooke. Yeah.
And so again, called for DMCs. This is going to be 141 by 151. I am just still really enjoying the block stitching, still really enjoying the colors, thinking about, I'm leaning towards going ahead and doing this border. The border doesn't really show, but I think it does do something for the grid. I don't know. If I were to stitch this again, I would put less space between the elements, which is interesting because I love negative space.
Oh, definitely do the border.
Definitely do the border.
I think, Anna, okay, say what you're going to say about negative space. Sorry.
I love negative space, but for some reason there's more than my eye wants on this. I don't know, but we'll see at the end. Because the space is one of the things that attracted to me.
Yeah, I'm curious, once you get it done, will you like the spacing? I actually like the spacing. I'm also thinking each of these pumpkins would be cute little magnets.
Yes, they would.
Hey, you know what? If anybody has a refrigerator that can take magnets, these would be cute refrigerator magnets too.
This same designer, I just saw, we follow her on Instagram. Mm-hmm. She has one with trees, with green trees for the holidays.
I think I saw that one. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize it was the same person. Needle Treasures Nooks.
Yeah, I like her patterns.
I think I might do a couple little.
Please,
magnets.
We're gonna have plenty of thread left, or you might pick your own thread.
I think I would use Roxy Floss. I think I would like the variation in color in those. And I love this though. Really.
So yeah, I'm gonna keep going on that. I the last couple of weeks, I mean, teaching can be like this. Sometimes I'm really, really tired at the end of the day, and so there actually are a few nights I didn't even stitch. So this kind of stitching is just right kind of stitching. Like I can't even think about taking out a sampler when I'm feeling like that. So I think I'm grateful for this.
When fill-in feels really good because you don't need to think. You're just filling in.
Because some people say they get bored with fill-in. I don't tend to get bored with fill-in in general, but it's just kind of what my brain has needed.
Yeah, I love this one.
Thanks. I'm hoping to keep going. I mean, I would really like to finish it.
How do you think you'll fully finish it?
Right now, if I had to, I think I'm going to just tile it up and just prop it up. Our fireplace has two ledges like this, and maybe pop it up on a ledge or we have a couple of places to prop it in a bookcase. I really like the look of a bookcase that has like a little collage like this popped in the back and maybe my white pumpkin in front of it or something like that.
You know who's a master at that?
The person who got married?
No, but she is. Katie's Dragon.
Oh yeah, I've mentioned like I cannot wait to see every time Katie has a video. What's on
her bookcase? Does anybody else like? I often pause and I'm like, okay, oh I see that. It's like what can you find? It's like a hide and seek game. What does she have propped up there? Yeah, but you're right. Our niece that got married, she is such a beautiful aesthetic. She would do that well too.
All right, so shades of pumpkin.
Nice, Anna. All right, so my first whip is the next house of the autumn salt boxes. Call it the big factory. It looks so big and factory-like in here, but I feel like the colors are really actually much softer than they appear in the photo. So I've started on that. And a couple of modifications. Many of her stars there use back stitches to do the stars, and I think one of her spring did the same. I'm going to stitch those.
I remember that.
And I really liked that. For me, that was a good look. All right. Also at the bottom of the house, the bottom of the factory, there's a date, 1690. That dates don't do a lot for me. So I'm going to put some pumpkins along the bottom and pull out some more of the orange and reds that are in the other salt box. And I went back to Seasons of the Heart, the autumn. This is also, it's by Brenda Giray. And I'm going to do some variation of those pumpkins there. I have to see how much space I have. And I think that will be a nice, or I could even take like that stack or those stacks. I just felt like that had a good array of pumpkins to put in there.
Great.
So I'm gonna do that. And for this, again, it's some mystery, some 36 count, something or other. And I'm using the called for colors. I think Plum Street just always has beautiful color palette. I find I rarely want to change hers. And she also does a nice job of mixing DMCs with overdyed cottons. I kind of like that mix, so you get a combination of things. Yeah. So anything like all of her things that have big spaces of color, she uses overdyed, and then some of the other little details, sometimes she'll use DMC. This series, I'm gonna be so sad when it's done. I've done both spring, both summer. I think I'll finish the second fall this year, and then I'll probably do winter.
Well, maybe you'll be able to find another series that will catch your fancy. Because you really got into, you already held that up. You got into that series too.
I still have one more to do there.
And let me look and see which one. This one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have the Katie's Dragon kit to do that. So let's see. Okay. So that was that one. All right, Anna, you're up.
All right, I'm going to talk about 2 whips together. This is one of my favorite project bags that I made with scraps of fabric I had. In fact, to make the inside work, I put a stripe of that in.
Does that make you happy every time you look inside that bag?
Yeah. It's like, hello. So
I want to do this one so badly.
Yeah. So there were surprises for me for this one. Penny Pumpkin by the Scarlet House. I really, really like a white pumpkin in person and in stitching. So I started this.
Here, use the board.
And came to sort of a screeching halt because this is an example of the picture is really different than the actual colors. Because, do you mind holding that?
Nope.
This pomegranate is this color. Whoa! And I find pomegranate to be a very beautiful color, but as I was starting the first stars, and this is the very light orange that's in there, I started to feel like this pomegranate with the greens that's in there, it felt more Christmassy than fall.
It's too pink. It needs to be a warmer red, I think, or orangey, more orangey.
So, we know with the gentle art, sometimes things can really change through the years. But this is why I would like to try to find another orange. Like I think I'm going to take the red out. I was debating, do I need to just kick it out altogether, or do I just add an orange in between? It's a very pretty color, but we're going to save it for something else. I think.
Anna, I'm going to say I also have a concern about the fabric.
Oh, why?
Because I'm feeling like it's really hard to see the white. And is your pumpkin the same color white?
Yeah.
I'm concerned that it's not going to be as vibrant and show up.
So I need to go even darker?
I don't know. I mean, maybe once there's more of it, it will.
Maybe I should do a little like block in the corner of the white.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Let's see. I don't know if you all can see the white. I saw this on Instagram, Anna, yesterday, which made me want to do it. Somebody did it on a beautiful, like, rich blue.
Well, remember I got that blue. It was the last visit to.
And I would never have thought that blue. It looks so good.
Maybe
I'll have to go back and see if I can remember who that was in the feed. Because all those colors, and then the white popped off, the greens popped off. Everything looked great on that blue. And so it wasn't like a royal, it was a darker blue, but it wasn't too bright and vibrant. Maybe denim-y. Don't you have that? What color blue did you get that?
It's sort of a medium blue. I can't remember what it's called. I'll check that out.
Because I think because you love white pumpkin so much, I think you want that white to be almost like in your face. Like, I am a white pumpkin.
It's funny you said that because in person I felt like, oh good, the white is popping off.
Yeah.
But maybe not enough.
Maybe it's like when you hold it up. Like, you're right, when I'm here, I see it, it looks nice. But I'm just wondering, like, if you had this propped up from a distance, would you see it?
And this fabric is 40 count from the Traditional Fabric Club, the first thing that was sent from Carrie for the Roxy Floss Co. Club.
Her London
If she may call it London Fog.
What did you call it? Morning Mist?
Morning Mist, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and the threads are gentle art. So I cut another piece of this for, that came to a screeching halt, and I just never made it over to Carolyn's to look at thread. So I started Scary 2 and got quite far with this one.
Oh, that looks
okay,
fantastic!
Good. Okay.
Fantastic! Anna, that's perfect.
Loving it, loving it, loving it.
Perfect.
So this is the same fabric and Scary 2 by Plum Street. Called for gentle art. I'm loving the negative space. The acorn caps have this negative space, and the squirrel tail is supposed to be filled in with the light green. I think I'm going to leave it open.
You know what? I feel like our laptop's a little blocking us today.
Okay.
Our laptop, my laptop. Anna.
Oopsie. So one of my questions is, like this,
I see the negative space in there.
This tiny little pumpkin, this orange pumpkin has some black in it. But to me, this reads mostly fall, but that little pumpkin reads Halloween.
Oh yeah,
so
don't put the black in.
I've left it open,
Yeah.
but does it look too open?
Nope.
Does the center of the big orange pumpkin, I just went to teach your voice there, of this, I left this is supposed to have like a lacy light green in it. I put it in and I'm like, I don't think I like that. But does it look too stark?
It does. I would put something, maybe pick a different color. I would put some, is the lacy like part stitches and part open? Mm-hmm. I would do it because I think that would mirror what you've done on some of the acorns.
But the little tiny orange one doesn't hit you that way?
Nope.
Okay, what about this leaf? I have the veins in. It's supposed to be filled in with the light green. I think I'm not enjoying stitching with this light green for some reason. I'm avoiding it.
I would stitch that in, but I play with picking a different green. I would fill that leaf in because to me that looks unfinished in a way that the others don't.
So leave the little orange pumpkin. Mm-hmm. Do a little something in the big orange pumpkin and fill in the leaf.
And the reason I'm saying leave the little orange one is it reads a little bit like a jack-o'-lantern potentially without screaming in your face that it's a jack-o'-lantern. Mm-hmm. Do I have the whole
So this is like a week and a half of evening stitching.
And it looks, okay, so it's so funny. You use the same fabric. The colors look fantastic on that. Whereas then the white, oh my gosh, Anna, this is going to be so cute.
I'm really happy with it.
Oh, so cute.
And I've been playing with, I mean, I know as a crafter, part of the fun for me is like collecting things, imagining things. I love the doing things, but I was very interested in what bittersweet was, and I ordered some bittersweet through the mail. Was it last year?
I think it was like 2 years ago.
And I saved the sprigs of it, but there was like a black dust falling out of them.
Whoops.
That I was like, you know what? I think I need to pop this into compost. But a few of the blossoms, I saved a few of the blossoms, and I have some acorn caps because I thought, wouldn't that be, this is just a little spice jar.
Keep it in the jar, right?
Put a few little things in the jar and put that in a tray with this. And then,
Anna,
we are going to order some rickrack.
Can we say decor?
I'm imagining my little tray already.
Anna.
And I was so inspired by Olivia of Pumpkin Hollow Quilts. She held up 2 of her fall finishes, and she sews her rickrack on, and on one of the pieces,
was it a pillow or was it like
they were both pillows? You know, she sewed them down so you could see the rickrack like coming over the side. So it was like a half-inch rickrack maybe. And on one of them, she put a bead on each. I mean, they looked really, really good. So I want to learn how to do that, Olivia. Oh, it's totally inspired. So I would say this has been the theme of, because I didn't stitch it all during our travels. Is my fall stitching. And honestly, I have a pattern of stitching about 5 days on something and then needing something different. And I kind of am ready to move away from this, but then there's another piece of me of like, if you move away from it, are you going to finish it?
Yeah, I would finish that if you can.
Yeah.
You know, even if you put it aside and then just pull it out like next weekend, put it aside for a few days because it's so successful. That will look, and that would be so cute next to your pumpkin finish too. Like your grid of pumpkins. I think if you had those 2, Anna, you'd be like Thanksgiving it, November-ing it up, decoring it up.
Really a true cross stitcher.
Yes.
Okay.
That's so good.
My 2 fall.
Anything else you want to imagine? No. Okay.
I think I am going to explore a new fabric and do a restart and get some other oranges going in this. And let me just ask you before you make this.
Sure.
Do you think these 2 oranges would work well together?
Very well.
I might just take the orange.
Very well.
From Scary Too.
Actually, I like that a lot.
All right, that is.
And was there a green
sweet
over
potato
on your? I
think that you could. I think it's too bright or something. This is the dark green. It's bark. It's called bark. It's kind of a browny green.
Yeah. And then what was the light green?
This. I mean, maybe I just need to use that.
You know what? It's gonna read more yellow than green. You maybe want something that has a little bit more green in it.
Yeah, I mean, this is it.
Yeah, I think you want something that has a little bit more green in it. And I think it looks good for that, but maybe in that leaf.
So maybe
just look at the
rocks and floss. Okay.
Yeah.
Carolyn, your next whip.
Okay. Blue Moon by the Artsy Housewife. I started this, and of course,
You got far. That color choice is
Oh my
fantastic.
gosh, okay.
Is that rook color?
This is, let me put it up. This is, excuse me, dark cobblestone, just by a Zweigart color. Okay, here is what I have so far.
Oh my gosh, that looks so good.
And I can't wait to get to the bird.
Maybe this is why you're also seeing the potential of how much white can pop.
Yeah. Okay, so what I did is, I had my granddaughters one day and we went to Michael's to get, Anna came in and she sees all of the 2 and 4-year-old decorations we have in here Halloween. But I also wanted to pick up the DMC that this is called for. And I'd be like, I pick a color, I'd give it to one girl to hold. So some of them have been manhandled a little bit. And the DMC is economical enough. I bought it as a reference point because I knew I wanted to use over-dyed cottons or silks. So the first thing I did was converted it to MPIs. Silks.
We had enough MPIs that you were able to do that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. There is this, the 2-year-old really got into this one. Fine. This is a very unusual color. It's an orangey yellow, and I haven't quite been able to figure out what I want to use for this. Whether I go more gold or more orange. Okay, so I'm happy with these colors. I like them against my fabric, and I go to stitch this little leaf right there. And it looked so ghosty and flat. And I've been outlining them and then filling them in. I'd only filled in about a third of it. So I'm like, I gotta rip it out and do something else. So I ripped out the inside, but I kept, I kept the outline border. So then I pulled out this other floss that I'm using on a different project, and I think I picked this one. Yeah. So I picked an over-dyed cotton that was really similar. And I filled it in, so you can see just a slight depth when you look closely. Why does that make such a
difference?
And then something about the over-dyed cottons just made it pop. So it's interesting, even though it was the same color, it is just a tad brighter. But something to me, whether it's just my eye, I love that outlining. So when I came to do this dark red one, I did the same thing. I outlined it with a silk and filled it in with a
cool
cotton. And then
I think they look fabulous.
And then I'm doing it on this one too. I'm not going to fill all of them in like this, but I outlining them all in black silk. And this one I filled in with an over-dyed dark charcoal. So I think I'll do that on a few of the leaves again, just to have
Can I see
a little bit
again?
of movement. Yeah.
Okay, so it is a lot of black flowers. Yeah. Are those leaves or flowers?
They are what you want them to be. So because there's so much black, I think I'll probably put maybe 3 of them in this dark charcoal. Go around.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a combination of the MPIs, the over-dyed cottons, and I am using Gigi's palette pretty much from her DMCs. Now the interesting thing was I was just using the photo. I wasn't looking at her symbols. So there is a dark orange, a light orange, and a gold. This kind of goldy. I thought this was the light orange, but it is the color that's supposed to go in the bird also, which was that goldy color. So I may not end up using that yellow at all. I might just use this here. And then where I need another dark orange, like go a little bit darker. So I cannot put this down. It's so fun. And I remember Olivia B when she did Kathy Barrick's Wildflowers. Do you remember that one? She outlined everything first, and then she called it just her coloring. So I think I'm going to kind of do that is I'll continue outlining, but then when I feel like I need fill in, I can just go to any of these flower/leaves and fill them in. And then I can't wait to get to that bird.
I just think those colors look so pretty on that fabric.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, at first I was worried with the first time I put in that orange flower pretty early on. I'm like, it's just too flat. You know what? It was just reading too flat. And I think that over-dyed cottons just give it a little, I don't know, a little bit of variation.
Great.
Gigi, are you still thinking about doing something special for your birthday in January?
Because we haven't forgotten that.
Because we haven't forgotten. We're like,
are you working quietly behind the scenes?
All right, so this is just, I love just like, having a reference point and just pulling out colors. We have it's so fun having stash because I really can go in there and just get things that are going to work. They might not be perfect. They might not be exact matches, but
we have enough that, we usually can get it.
We have enough. Yeah. Okay. And then my last one, I'd sort of forgotten about this. And then again, I saw somebody who finished this on Instagram and I'm like, oh, I got to finish this before the next release. This is, I signed up for Scattered Seed Samplers, her Birds and Berry Pin Keep series, and we're getting 3 this year. This is the second one. And here's a photo of my finished first one. And my goal was to have them finished before the next one comes. And the next one comes in November, and I'm like, what? Get on it, girl. All right, so this one's just a very quick finish. I'm just not quick finish, quick start.
Is that blue or gray?
It's a blue, dusty blue. Just kind of did a little bit of the border and getting the bird's head going. Her kits, these are done on 36 count vintage country mocha by Zweigart. And I like this. I can see how she does it for kits. It's a nice generic neutral with a little variation. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure she can get it readily available for her. And then here are, I
love the way she packages everything.
This makes me so happy. I totally agree. So here is the call for DMCs. She has beautiful curated palettes. Not necessarily, like I'm not really a blue person, but I think this is beautiful. And I love her cards and they have the symbol on them. So when you're stitching, I keep wanting to make these for myself when I'm stitching a project. Mm-hmm. And even if you just put a little bit of your floss, you don't need to put the whole hunk of floss in there, like even 6 strands at a time. It's so pleasant just to have this next to your chair. And then she gives you some little charms and things for the finishing. And I like to just keep them on the card while I'm stitching. And her kits come with the backing fabric, everything you need. So we'll see how I finish that. So that's my last whip.
All right, my last whip is quilt related. I've started a 6-month series of a quilt class online. The teacher is Tara Fawnin, who is in Oakland. She lives in Oakland, California. She uses a lot of solid colors and really plays with color and value. So this class is called the Block Studies because I'm probably not going to make a quilt at all. I'm just going to make lots of little studies around this size. And we get a color palette every month and a block every month. And I've made 2 blocks and an idea for the third, which I'd really like to do this week. So first of all, the block this month is the Hourglass block. Let me make sense.
Are you still on the first month or are you in the second month now?
We're still in the first month.
You're still in the first month. Okay.
So we'll hold one side, please.
Mm-hmm.
So my first thing was, do you see this hourglass here where the blues are the same, the blues are the same, the blues are the same? I thought I wanted to kind of get used to the colors and how they played with each other. And I just put 1 true hourglass in every row. That was just sort of the parameter I set for myself. And this was fun, but I do not think particularly successful. So I thought, okay, for the next block, I'm going to take some of my favorite combinations of color in this block and use them primarily in the second block.
Okay.
And this is what happened, which I like this block better. Still, as I hold these up in the next 6 months, I see these, kind of what Carolyn said earlier in the video, these are just like learning tools. So it's much more about the process.
Are these smaller?
This happened to be smaller because what I did was I cut them down. So some of them, like, do you see this one is starting, it's not quite square. Because what the next step will be is Tara calls it disrupting the pattern. So I'm going to make some even bigger blocks and cut them down in different ways and maybe add some sashing between the blocks to achieve some more movement and improvisation. So learning a little bit about the colors, playing with fewer colors and starting to cut down some of the blocks. And then my third block will be, well, I imagine.
Do you want any critique?
Oh, absolutely.
I really, in your second one, I really miss this color. Like I always think it's good. Like you see that, do you miss anything? And there's something about that in the way you placed it in this one.
Because I always think of a triangle, like eye moves. Boop, boop, boop,
Exactly.
boop, boop, boop,
It
boop.
really moves your eye around. And I like that you used it sparsely in here. And even like one or two, I don't know, or like when you're disrupting, I could see like one of the little blips.
Or like a little bit of like a stripe of that.
I almost feel like this is too coordinated. Where this had more, and because when I look at this one, I see the dark, my eye didn't go to the pattern. I went to these dark blue sections. I saw that design, those designs in
the palette. I would say a third of the palette is blues. So Tara recommended that we put more blue than you might be tempted to in each of your pieces.
Yeah.
And I'm liking the darker blues and the lighter blue. I'm having a much harder time incorporating the medium blue. So
fun, Anna. This is great.
I'm learning so much. This is the kind of thing where, I mean, the dining room table just has all of these parts and pieces, and it's very, very hard thinking. But she also says, like, just keep going, keep going, keep going. So when does month 2 start? I can't remember. There's a Zoom early November.
Okay, so you're gonna try to do a third.
I need to do a third because I haven't played enough with this block, in my opinion.
Really cool. I love the disrupting too.
Yeah.
The other thing with this one, my eye keeps going to this almost complete pinwheel, whether that was intentional or not.
Yeah,
that's one thing that my eye goes to. Neat.
So one of my girlfriends is taking the same class, and the class itself has a platform where you can put your blocks up. And there's a mid-month Zoom, and what Tara did was she took like 200 images from that, and we just watched a slideshow. Absolutely amazing. The variation with the very same colors and inspired by the very same block. You wouldn't believe what people did. Yeah. So I'm enjoying, as always, being part of a community.
So that's one thing sometimes I think about cross stitch, like quilting, knitting, like same thing. A designer can put out a pattern, and the way people interpret it and change it, there's so much variation. I feel like cross stitch people don't do that as much. Like whether it's like adapting a pattern or bringing in your own colors.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Just observation. Okay. Anna, that's really cool. I'm so glad you're taking that class. It's really
Thanks.
neat. I can't wait to watch your growth and everything.
And I always want to critique. I'm really trying to stay out of like, this is so precious.
Land.
Like,
I love
our friend Sandy, who's a painter, nothing is precious. Nothing is precious.
I love
Miles
it.
of paint.
It's just like that one. I'm like, ooh, that's such a different color, that green. All right, plans. What are you up to?
Okay, I'm feeling like very open and very floaty, partly because of dense weeks at school. Before I leave today, I'd like to look at our sampler collection to see our black samplers we have, because I've enjoyed doing some black sampler stitching in November for Black Sampler November.
Yeah.
Possible. And then I have a drawer that has some Christmas whips. I will admit to being like, I might be ready to start some Christmas stitching.
Good.
We'll see.
At least finish that Scary 2.
Yes.
And then
actually, I wouldn't mind a little push on that from you.
Okay. It's so successful. I think you would really enjoy having that done, and you're really close. I think that'd be great.
What are your plans, Carolyn?
Okay. So I had done some 12 by 12s. Traditionally, people have done it on New Year's Eve, 12 by 12, and I said I'm going to do it 4 times a year.
Explain what it is.
So a 12 by 12 is you have 12 hours in the day, and I think for New Year's, what people are doing was starting at noon and going to midnight. I like started at 8 a.m. and went. And you do something like, I think
hashtag in our 60s.
I know. Some people do like a start an hour, but I just made up my own. And in fact, if you go to our Instagram in our stories, I've saved story highlights from the 12 things I did for the New Year's. And I loved it. Like for me, we had tried the 24-hour cross stitch marathon. This was perfect for me. This 12 by 12 was one day. Then I did another one in spring. Same thing. There's a highlights in our Instagram for that. For some reason, I didn't do summer. I think because we had house guests and then we were traveling. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to do a fall one, a fall 12 by 12. So I think I'm going to do it this Friday, November 1st. We don't have school that day. It's a day off of school. So if it works out, if I get enough work and everything done, I'm going to make that be my 12 by 12. I don't know if you want to join.
Well, I do have.
Oh, you're working that.
I am working that day.
If anybody wants to join in with a fall 12 by 12,
Thank you.
do so. So this week I'm going to kind of be planning what I do. And I actually have 3 projects I want to start, 2 smalls and a larger. That will definitely be part of that 12 by 12. Part of my 12 by 12 too, like one is like a New Year's was like, for 1 hour, it's like drink a glass of champagne because Anna had a party at her house. So we went there, or I'll be like, so it's not, I just try to do a mix of things, or sometimes I'll do something knitting. So I think I'm going to do a 12 by 12 November 1st for that. The other is I need to order a new frame for this, and I want to do it sooner than later because I want to have this done in November. And when I order from Signed and Numbered, I like to do a few at a time. So I picked out 3 other pieces that I'm going to order frames for at the same time. I thought I'd just quickly show those. Weeds and Wildflowers. I'm going to do a colored frame. I'm thinking a navy blue, thin for that. This was a little Christmas stitch. I stitched it maybe 2 years ago. And I didn't know how to finish it. And then I'm like, I'm getting a nice, bright, colorful frame and doing that. And I think I might send this to my family in New York. I think the girls might like that. And then I have Crow Number 5 by Kathy Barrick. And this is for Javi. So when I was talking to Javi at the wedding, I'm like, I have this. And so I'm going to just put this in a thin black frame and send that to them. So I'm going to get frames for those 4 things from Signed and Numbered. So
that Crow Number 5 is one of my favorite things.
Me too. I love that. And I think Javi's going to love having that. Okay. Whoa, this is kind of a long video, which is good. We have a lot. Okay. All right. Share supplies.
So this is the next pile of fabric for month 2. I don't know what the block is yet. Isn't that something?
Those also look like you to me, big time. I feel like you have a tunic in these colors.
So I think I said in the last video, this was my birthday present from my husband, this class, with there was an option to have the fabric just sent to you every month,
smart.
which feels so luxurious, and it is worth every penny. I'm having so much fun with it.
It's gonna keep you going. Anna,
so we'll see what happens.
Project Envy over here. Love those.
And then Katie's Stratton kit. I did the Thomas kit. And looking forward to that. So I don't know if I'll start that this season or whether I'll tuck it away for next season. But it's beautiful.
I love that turquoise blue at the very
I do too. Love it right here. So thank you, Katie. All right, your supplies?
I have one thing. Like, we have a lot of shared supplies. I think it was on one of the Artsy Housewives posts. She was just saying she was looking through a sampler book, getting inspiration.
Yes, I remember that.
And everything she showed as inspiration, I'm like, I love that. So without even thinking, I just went to Amazon and I ordered it. And then when I got it, it's such an interesting book because it's samplers, how to compare and value. And it's really, the audience for this book is for people that want to become collectors of samplers. And it really talks through, it was really interesting, the introduction. I'm not going to collect samplers, but this book, I still love it. First of all, it gave me some background of what people might do as collectors. But then what it does is it might go, for example, this is German motif samplers. And then it will talk about them in general and will give you a fine sampler and then a really good sampler. So it's comparing and contrasting. Hey, this one, this one's okay, but this one would be the one to pick because it has this other. So the amount of samplers in here, and I love how they're organized. Like this is Massachusetts marking samplers varieties. So each page spread.
There's a lot of photos in there.
Even though again, I'm not going to collect, here is English samplers from the Ackworth School. And she talks about like what their values would be. So for example, this is 10 to 12,000. This is 15 to, so she'll say this one would be in the 10 to 12,000 range, 15 to $18,000 range.
And I wonder what the copyright is of this book, because I wonder.
Yeah, let's see. So again, I'm not going to be a collector, but I found like this is so valuable, and I'm having so much fun just like every day or every couple of days just looking at one of those pages. Let's see what the copyright is. 2002. So for that. So here in the index, this shows you all the different, so many different types of samplers to look in there.
It's just quite a small book compared to many of this style book. It's appealing.
Chocked full. So again, let me put this
actually
up.
hold it.
You can actually hold it. So it was like, first I got this in the mail. I'm like, oh, I'm not really interested in collecting. But then I started looking. I'm like, who cares? So, and it did educate me a little bit about, I know there are people out there that are interested in collecting and just thinking about those things. Okay. That was my shared supply.
It's a beautiful one.
All right, let's do our thumbs up.
Thumbs up. My first thumbs up is just sisters. We described the family wedding. Anytime I have with my sisters, I just have so much fun. Lots of laughs, lots of fun. And like we get right to the point about things too.
Yeah,
so
in a good way.
I always feel like after I spend time with my sisters, I am thinking about important things. And do I need to make a shift about such and such or whatever? I mean, one of my favorite things about cross-stitching is spending time with Carolyn and talking about it with you.
Yeah.
So sisters.
I'm going to add one thing in there. Again, this was a pretty DIY wedding. It's really incredible the caliber that family were able to do. But that Friday and Saturday and even Sunday, everybody was pitching in and helping. And I feel like our sisters in the bigger group, everyone just went and helped and really enjoyed it. It was really, we all felt like we were doing part of helping the wedding go or cleaning up the next day. Yeah, it's great.
This is actually matches one of yours, Carolyn. There is a new restaurant in our neighborhood that has this really, really, really long wooden table. And some of us went there for dinner this past week on one of the weeknights. And 3 of the grand girls are lined up right in a row, just eating their French fries. And I just love the feeling of lots of people around the table. And yeah, it's
great.
I enjoy being part of a big family. And then my last thing, which pops up in my thumbs up a lot, is just I like being outside so much. And the location where we were for the wedding, there's just so much expansive space. And I just love that feeling with all the birds and all the beautiful shades of the plants. And we were staying by the bay, and we could like just walk to the bay and the sound of the water, and there's a bunch of horseshoe crabs there. And even just a few days ago, I went to the park with one of my grandchildren. I just like being outside. She's finding all the little pine cones falling off the redwood trees and like picking them up and moving them from place to place. So being outside.
Yeah, it's awesome. Good.
Carolyn's like quietly getting her first thumbs up ready.
My first thumbs up are these scrappy mittens I knit. I ride my bike to school most days, and I leave about 7 a.m., which tends to be like the coldest period of the day. And even though it could get up in 70s here in the morning, it's either high 40s or low 50s, and you're on your bike and it's so cold. And what I love about these mittens I made, I'm going to just put them on my hand and I'll take them off, is I shape the fingers. So I have a right and a left mitten, so you don't have all this extra fabric by your pinky. I also shape my wrists so they are tighter fitting in here. And I make them long enough that if I want, I can cuff or uncuff. Sometimes in the bike, I like to have them uncuffed in my coat up here. So when you have a good workhorse knit item, they're so important, and it makes me love them even more because they are such fantastic. And I use leftover yarn. I probably knit these a couple of years ago, and they are just staples on my bike for me. So
I need to try one on.
Thumbs up. You can try those on. Next is Anna suggested this. There is a restaurant. It's called Kirk's if you're in the Palo Alto area. And they just moved location. They took over a restaurant that had closed, and it's within walking distance of Anna's house and like a mile and a half from us. And it has so much potential, just like a burger place with a bar and just different things. But we are going to go there a lot. And it had just opened. Maybe it opened maybe a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. So
1 week ago.
Maybe 1 week ago. Okay, so it was maybe, what night did we go? Did we go Wednesday night?
Yeah.
Wednesday night, we're just like, John and I had the granddaughter, so we're like, hey, let's just all go. And it was really fun. So we're going to spend a lot of time there, I can tell. So really nice to have a fun restaurant so close to you. And then last is just thumbs up. We were talking about this before. My husband is a beautiful photographer. And I just love looking at all the photos from the wedding. And that's why I assigned him. I'm like, you got to put together your Google photo album. Because he gets good photos because, like, let's say he says, all right, I want to take a picture of the tent. It's night. I want to do it from the outside. He'll probably take like 50 photos. So he takes so many and then he finds the gem that's in there. So he's really got to cull them down when he gets home. And he keeps talking about doing it. I'm like, come on, go back there and do that. So, and I love looking at the photos. It just brings back memories. And I don't know, there's one photo, our parents, they have 7 great granddaughters. And there's a couple photos of them. Of course, you cannot corral all the girls at one time, but they're all in the photo together with mom and dad. And that's such a special photo. It's really, really incredible. So thumbs up to just reliving wonderful moments by looking at photos.
My son-in-law he was like, that was the thing that was the most nerve-wracking thing about the whole weekend, because he was so hoping that his daughter would actually get into that photo, because you just never know. Like they kids in the 2, 3, 4-year-old range will flat out refuse things sometimes.
Yeah. I'll be curious. The professional photographer tried to get a photo too. And meanwhile, everyone else is trying to snap to get something while arranging them. We'll see.
Haven't seen yet.
But I know I think John definitely got one with all seven of them with mom and dad. Okay. All right, everybody.
Until
next. So good. And I hadn't caught up with you stitch-wise. So
yeah,
good.
Sometimes we don't see each other a lot.
I know.
Yeah, on school days. All right. Until next time.
Happy crafting.
And stay curious.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for joining us.